You ready?
Yeah.
She's ready. We're ready. So, folks, we got some interesting stuff here tonight. We apparently our guard dog seminar got a lot of people interested. A lot of people were curious about how it worked, and I had several questions regarding the way I train guard dogs for the street versus personal protection or sport. And there's a definite difference. So the biggest question I got from, Black Quarter Horse, was that you, I think, asking about what I call the armpit bites, the deodorant bites, Somebody told him that bite is so hard because you got all these nerves up there that when a dog bites there, the man is toast, and you won, period. So, they asked me what I thought about that. What do you think about that, Scott?
It hurts.
It hurts.
It's muscle.
It's muscle, yeah.
But when your dog's targeting, your dog is vulnerable to be hurt. I mean, your average person, probably not, but someone that's wants to live, and you got a dog in the armpit, and the dog's pushing it, and the dog's pulling you biting your arm and pulling you down, different story. But when you're biting the dog's legs are elevated, so he has no leverage, and his paws are hanging there like this, right? So the dog is actually incapacitated, I would say, to a certain degree.
I would agree, yeah.
I mean, for street use, I don't think so. I think a dog biting you in the arm right here will break all the nerves in your bones and tear everything up, that your arm will be useless. It might be useless here, bites you in the muscle. It'll bruise a lot, and you're a tough guy. You take dog bites here because it makes bruises and everything else. But as for the dog and the dog and what the dog is being used for, depends. Sport, yes, okay, whatever. But I don't think so. But if anybody wants to come take a bite like that from a dog, we might be able to surprise you here in a minute.
Yeah, we'll show you a little something on that here in a second. But there's another thing. This is again what I've seen in actuality. There's another problem with. All right, so let's get something straight. Targeting is something you do in a sport for points. If you train your dog to target a certain area, a certain piece of equipment, you are sport training, period. The last thing you want in real life is a dog who has a target, because dogs are such creatures of routine and habit that's what they're going to look for. In order for this bite to be effective in real life, you have one problem. If you send your dog to get somebody, if that person doesn't stick their arm out like that, dog don't know what to do. Where's my target?
Yep.
And as an example, I hope this gentleman, somebody points it out to him, but 3 or 4 years ago we did a trial, maybe 4 years ago now, we did a trial in Arkansas, outside of Benton, Arkansas. And we had a gentleman show up there with a really sharp little little female. And he was fresh from one of the American, protection dog sports with his little mal. And he, I don't know, but I'm just going by what he told me, no reason for him to lie to me. He mentioned that his little female mal was the champion of this protection sport. And it was the...
Protection what?
Protection sport.
Oh, okay. I thought you said something else.
But it was the toughest protection sport in the world. And his little dog, I forget, she was the champion for one of the divisions. So, we're all sitting around going, wow, we're going to watch this really great dog,
right.
And, the little dog was probably about as old as Mina was at the time, but she smoked the obedience. She did the first couple of attack on handler exercises great, and she was leading the whole thing, leading to the last exercise, which was a courage test, a sin. Now remember, this is pro sports, so we don't do things necessarily by pattern. So, and for that particular, and we try to make every exercise, a scenario type exercise.
Random.
Right,
So
right.
not every dog was getting the same scenario.
Well, they get the same scenario, but it's an
Okay.
exercise that could
I got it.
happen in real life on the
Okay.
streets.
My bad.
Yeah,
I thought you were synaptic.
yeah, no. And this particular one in Arkansas, what the people at the club had decided was they were going to do an attacker who changes his mind, throws something at the dog when he sees the dog coming and turns and runs. And to see if first throwing this object would deter the dog, and then what the dog would do when faced with someone fleeing away. So, sure enough, agitator, decoy throws whatever, we had a chair, folding chair or something, throws it at the dog. The little dog is just, boy, she looks like the baddest little mohonker on the planet. He throws it on the ground. She keeps coming, doesn't deter her at all. And all of a sudden he turns around and he takes off running. And this little dog runs right up to him, and like Mina's the decoy, she runs right up and she runs around in front of him and she barks, woof, woof. And he runs that away a little bit. And she barks, woof, woof. And he keeps running and he gets in front of her and she's going, woof, woof. And I'm standing next, as the steward, ring steward, I'm standing next to the handler. And I said, call your dog, because we never let a dog leave the field in pro sports unsuccessfully. So obviously this dog was not going to bite in this situation. Call your dog. He brings the dog. I said, okay, we're going to just let the decoy run, and you send your dog. We're going to give her an easy bite. We'll chicken wing it so she knows where the bite is. He says, don't worry about it. I said, what do you mean, don't worry about it? You're leading. He said, I know, but she's not going to bite. I said, what do you mean she's not going to bite? And he said, well, he's going to have to turn around and hold his arm out for her to, she doesn't know what to do unless someone's holding their arm out. That's why you don't do targeting on any dog you want on the street. That's why I believe the agitators that I have in the guard dog business, and we have for street dogs, agitators like Scott, they're not, it's a way tougher job than the sport people, because the sport people know if I'm doing Schutzhund, the dog's going to bite this sleeve right here. If I'm doing French ring, 7 times out of 10, the dog's going to go for a leg bite.
Yep.
Now, in French ring, I'll give them credit. They're going to mix it up. You have some people train dogs that are fast enough to go upstairs, but 7 out of 10 are all going to be leg biters. Now, that brings us, so when we train any of our dogs for personal protection, we train as much on leg sleeves as we do on anything else, because we want a dog to know how to go downstairs as well as upstairs. Right, Scott?
Yeah, or run off, call them runoffs. But, there's a philosophy for a street dog. I want a slasher, and I got 2 of them. A dog that will bite you, and any sudden moment anywhere else, the dog will release the bite and rebite the threat coming at him. Could be a leg, could be the other arm, it doesn't matter. But the theory is a dog that lets go of a bite, it's not good. They want the dog to stay on the bite at all times.
Well, he's getting his head bashed in.
Well, I'm just even protection trainers. They want the dog always on the bite. Mm-hmm. Well, it ain't work that way.
No.
So there's different techniques and methods we use. But honestly, the suit is, runoffs. If we're doing different scenarios, the suit's can be used. But a suit is only used after the primary bite techniques and the slashing or the rebites are incurred through training in the field.
Right.
After there's a point that dog doesn't care what he gets.
Right.
You don't care about the damn sleeve. You don't, Then you give him the suit tests. And we're doing, and we'll take whatever you can give him.
But what a lot of people don't realize is you hear about, we train our dogs in a suit because we don't want to be sleeve happy. Well, guess what? The dog recognizes the suit as quickly as they do a sleeve. Mm-hmm. So you still have a problem there. You can, if you listen to our podcast last week with Rick, one of the guys at our guard dog deal, who did a lot of agitation work for us. One of the things he's impressed with was we had sleeves laying all over the field, and the dogs that came on the field didn't even look at them. And now, let me go to one other thing. It's probably not understood. I had this again, another question. Why did you have your decoys, your agitators, wearing a sleeve? Isn't that more dangerous than wearing a suit? The theory or their thought being that in a suit, you're more protected. And there's degrees to everything. So yes, you are more covered and you're more protected from punctures. And their concern was if you got the sleeve, if the dog doesn't bite the sleeve, you could lose another body part. And that's true too. That's why we teach our agitators how to make sure the dog bites where he wants him to. Mm-hmm. Now, but we train them in a way that they don't get sleeve happy. Now, the reason we predominantly use sleeves in the guard dog business, I'm going to show you, instead of suits, I'm going to show you right now. Hey, Carol Ann, can you run a camera over? Hey, Rip, come here, big guy. Come here, Rip. Come here, Bacon. So, can you run a close up on this young man?
I have.
You have, all right. So, this is Rip. Rip is an Alapahala Blue Blood Bulldog. You can look at my head next to Rip's head, and you can see he got a whole lot more head than I got. And a dog's skull, these jaw muscles actually attach up here. So the more skull they got, the more muscle they got to bite down hard, which a lot of people don't realize. So this old boy's got enough skull to make a mortar shell out of. Pardon me, a little affection goes a long way. So what this is going to be in the guard dog business, the majority of the types of dogs that we use. I'm using 85 to 105, 120 pound dogs on average. For those of you that are a little bit into, you can get Rip in here with me. For those of you that are into a little bit of training, you've worn a suit and you've worn a sleeve, you know that wearing a sleeve, you've got a hard shell that the cuff goes over, so you get maximum protection. A suit, for those of you who haven't worn one, is actually nothing more than a whole lot of cotton stuffed in between some French linen, they call it, thick material. So it crushes, it compresses. Let me tell you, if that gets a hold of you while you're wearing a suit and compresses, you are going to have trouble moving that particular limb shortly thereafter. It's not comfortable. Scott's sitting there grinning. He knows. It's not comfortable. In fact, you could even say it could be debilitating. So for the guard dogs, we train almost entirely with sleeves, and then we proof them, like Scott said earlier, with a suit at the end. And I didn't have many agitators want to come back and do several proofings, you know. So that's the difference.
So basically, wearing a suit, if you know how to use a suit correctly, you might be okay. Like come over
Right.
with it, and if you know how to use sleeve correctly, you'll be okay. But the chances of success, you're not losing a limb, the sleeve is much better antiquated for what we're doing.
Right.
And there's a whole certain different methodology, and the way you got to think on a sleeve, you know that's all you got, right? So you got to make dog do what you want him to do, you know.
That's right.
So there's some dogs come in, you put a pair of just the pants on, sure, no problem. But basically, no top.
Right.
So like, you know, there's certain dogs that come in that will bite and will come off and will take your
Rebite.
on your leg.
Yep.
We'll strip for the leg.
Yep.
So, because, you know, we get dogs from puppies all the way up to 3-year-olds or however old they are, and when you evaluate a dog, you can tell what you got to use.
Yep.
But if you got to put a pair of pants on to save your jewels and your legs, and you put a pair of pants on, not scratch pants, actual pants, but you can work the top end with the sleeve every time.
Right. But see, these are the skills that I learned and Scott's learned partially from the Kohler method, but from old time, what people are fond of referring to as the old school dog trainers.
It's not really old school. I don't consider it old school.
No, I don't either. I think it's
all-
very relevant. And you can get hurt in a suit if you don't know what you're doing. You can get hurt in sleeves if you don't know what you're doing. If you have the proper instructions, you can wear a suit and you can go to a sleeve. You can wear a leg sleeve, you can wear, whatever. Because not only is there an art to getting the dog to bite where you want the dog to bite, after he's bitten, there's an art to keeping him there. Because when you're going for points, it's all right for the dog to take a big bite and hang with his front feet while the judge assesses the bite and gives you how many points you deserve. It's all right for the dog to hit the guy in the leg and push into the bite instead of pulling, because if he pulls, he's going to jerk the decoy on his butt. So it's okay for points for the dog to push in. But if you're on the street and your dog takes a leg bite and pushes into that person, if he pushes into me, you know what I'm doing, folks? I'm reaching down. First I'm thinking, aha. Then I'm reaching down, I'm grabbing that collar, I'm picking that collar up, I'm twisting it, I'm counting to 10, and then I'm delivering you your now defunct dog. Because you don't do on the street what you do for points. It's two different worlds.
Another thing too, you do a defensive training with no sleeves at all. So,
Yep.
like Kiwi,
Civil.
basically it's civil work, exactly. So basically, you walk in to the training area, and the dog's sitting there, right? The minute you put that sleeve on, some of them dogs will perk up and they know what they're doing there. So that tells me, okay, no. See, the dog like Kiwi,
Yeah.
you stand in position, no sleeve on, arms behind your back, whatever you're doing. The dog is focused, looking you eye to eye. He don't care about no sleeve. He ain't looking for no sleeve. He's looking right at you. He wants to get to your center of mass. Mm-hmm. The dog will stare you down.
Yep.
No matter what.
And that's, everyone says, how do I test my dog to see if he's sleeve happy, suit sucker, or jute junkie? Well, one easy way to do it, go look at some of your videos where they're doing this deodorant bite and see that dog jump up there, and then the guy reaches and pets him. Oh my goodness. Oh, he's just so sweet. I'm just going to love him. And the dog, watch your dogs. They'll just kind of close their eyes. And,
Pacifying the dog.
yeah, so I'm happy. He's happy.
So-
Everyone's happy.
So what's the... See, I never understood that. I know what it's for. But when you're getting a dog worked up, built up, and get him in his bite, there's no reason to... You're not building courage by pacifying that dog.
No,
Like you say-
you're taking the fight out of him. You're calming him down. But that's for points. And if
You know who you are out there. You'll meet a slasher one day and you won't ever do that again.
Yep. We've had some that were, shits and decoys and such as that, and they'd come out and
Well, there's... recently, I should say, we had a few guys coming out and working and trying to do that with the dogs. And I'll never put my other hand over top of the damn dog when it's on the sleeve. Because there's some dogs that there's slashers, and that's
Yeah.
a whole nother topic we'll talk about another time. But they'll drop that and get your hand because the dogs are trained to anything moving fast or coming in, they'll drop, rebite.
right,
So it's not a good practice in the
No,
method
no.
that you are training.
right.
So, and I'm just saying,
Well, it's
I just care about my people. I don't want to have all their fingers to write their letters, love letters to their wives.
right. There you go. There you go. And we again, if you're the sports, the original sports, the only internationally recognized sports by the FCI or Ring, Schutzen, IPG now, I think. I don't know what the initials are this week. And Mondio Ring. Okay. These were set up as breed certification systems to prove that your dog was what they wanted to pass on his genetics. They were not set up with the idea of police work or street work or military work. For that, in 1935, you had to go to the KNPV in Holland. They're the only organization that trained dogs specifically for the streets, for police work. Okay? So, if you're traded with someone who is, doing a deodorant bite, and that's the sport you're going into, go for it. Work it as best in what your trainer tells you to do. If you're wanting to work a dog because your wife's ex is threatening to come over and blow you up, or you're with the, whatever, then you need to change what you're doing. That's all we're saying.
Yeah, but another thing too that's misconstrued, that the bite work. It's great. Most 99% of the people that have protection dogs, personal protection dogs, their dog's never bit anybody. They've never.
Right.
Dog's a deterrent. That's the last line of defense.
Right.
And it happens, but not many people have seen that. You're in
No.
a guard dog business, you've seen it.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Different scenario. It was actually a business you were running.
Right.
So you know exactly,
Yep.
But for Joe on the street there, gets the dog worked up, that might work, that open sleeve.
Oh, well, that's.
But
you don't want to find out it doesn't work.
right.
and you get some of the if you get up Midwest, you get the defense only trainers. They're looking at what's practical. They'll produce a dog when you give it a command. It'll run out there slinging slobber and spit and snarling and growling. Ain't nobody gonna jack with you. You're good. But you have situations, and I'll tell you when in the guard dog business you get the most scared for your dog being poisoned or shot or something happening to him. You're more likely to have someone, if professional thieves see a dog and the dog goes to the fence and is aggressive, they're going to go down the street. But if you hold that thought, we've got a question coming on. If someone calls me and says, I have a business partner and we just split up and we're going through litigation and the judge wants me to run the company until it's litigated, and I need a guard dog in here because he's going to come back and try and steal stuff. Or, worst case, I'm getting a divorce, I'm running the business, it's my business, my husband will come back. When it's personal, they will try to kill a dog. When it's personal, you have a whole new level of potential danger for your dog. And that's when you have to have a really special dog. Mm-hmm. Pros will go down the street. There's no sense in taking a chance. There's no sense in have a dog make all that noise. When it's personal, they will do anything they can to get past the dog, to get in, to get their vengeance on the person they're mad at. Those are the kind you got to really watch out for. You got a question, Carol Ann?
A gentleman had kind of a comment question. His name's John. He says he was trying to say something earlier, but what he's trying to say is he has a dog that will bite the sleeve, but then spits it out and goes for the face.
Okay.
So what do you think about those kind of dogs?
Sounds like a dog to me.
Doing his job, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
If he spits the sleeve out after the guy slips it off, takes the sleeve off his arm.
He
Now,
didn't say.
If
he's listening, so you can ask him.
Okay, so you have two different situations. If he hits, in other words, if he's a total slasher where he just hits, bites here, then he bites here, then he bites here, then he bites there, that's not real good because he's not really containing anybody, and every time the dog releases and goes for something else, he is potentially setting himself up for a clear-headed person to grab him, all right? Now, if the dog's biting someone, say on the leg, and someone reaches to pound him with their fist, and he releases and purposefully goes for a specific target, that's A1 perfection. That's what you want.
It sounds like he's on the sleeve and he's coming off it, coming to the face.
Yeah, if he's coming off the sleeve you may, because as soon as he turns loose, he's losing the ability to control the man.
Yeah, but that's still, it's tough son of a bitch though.
Oh yeah.
Excuse my French, but I'm
Now-
just saying that's,
Right.
you gotta watch that though.
Right, but ideal is real simple. You slip the sleeve, your decoy slips the sleeve, the dog spits the sleeve out now that there's nobody in it, and goes back looking at the man. That's perfection.
That's good.
So if that's what he's doing, you're great.
One more.
Uh-huh.
For a street dog that is mostly defensive, should the bite be evaluated while being in the defense or prey?
You know, if you have balance, what happens is this. You have advantages of prey drive. Prey drive is when you get the fullest bite, when they go to the back of their mouth. You have advantages in defense. Defense is when you get the hardest bite. They're really clamping down. This is a really difficult concept to understand. I went and walked around for 15 years thinking I knew what it meant, and then I figured out I've been wrong for 15 years. You can only evaluate the bite as it's happening. You can't decide. The agitator, if it's a scenario training situation, the agitator is going to decide by his aggression whether the dog's in prey or defense. If the dog is balanced, he can be in total defense, choosing fight. But he's practiced so many times, like the boxer that practices the left jab, practices the left jab, practices the left jab. It's in the gym, he's just hitting the bag, there's no problem. It's play, pray, whatever you want to call it. And then someone walks up and screams at him on the street and he spins around, pop! And that is a much harder, solid punch because he's scared, but he never thinks. So that's what you're going to get when you balance a dog. And then you're not going to have to worry because that bite's going to be not only full, it's going to be hard. So I would say if you're going to evaluate your dog's bite on the training field, you would have the decoy work towards, if you got a street dog, you'd have your decoy work towards him like we do with your equipment out of sight, and then threatening, really threatening. You can do that with just simple eye contact and see how the dog reacts. But ideally, you want the intensity of defense with the confidence of prey. And you only get those by training and practice. These are all the things that we tried to address in our quick. We might, if you folks are interested, let me know. We'll set up another guard dog seminar. But I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't, call me. What else we got? Anything?
Well,
So we do have one unique situation here.
we sure do.
Mr. Sinclair proposed a trivia question 2 weeks ago, and I had some people say, well, we answered the question, but you didn't. You see.
Y'all didn't answer
Response
nothing.
in the negative.
Nothing.
So you want to kind of fill them in again? You want to repeat the question? You want to, what do you want to do? Give them another chance? Give them the answer? What
What do they want? I mean, we can up the ante a little bit, can't we?
Yeah, we can add to it.
Up the ante.
Oh, yeah, that's what I mean. Add to it.
Yeah,
Up the
so-
ante.
so.
Yeah. Because this is a good one,
Yep.
and it's unique. So we get bumper stickers if you win. Ian, I'm trying. I've got a little something I'm having rigged up for you if you're watching. So hopefully we'll have your bumper sticker. He answered our first question. We'll have your bumper sticker and your surprise on the way to England pretty soon here. But for this one, I don't know. What do you think? This has been a toughie. Do something special?
Yeah. What do you think?
What's the most special thing we produce?
Dogs. You can't have one of them.
How about one of our guard dog leashes with the special guard dog?
Oh, look at that.
police
Yep,
class?
that'd be
Yeah,
great.
Yep.
That'd be
What do you
good.
think, folks? Can't buy these in any pet stores, I guarantee. Can't get this from Chewy.
Yeah, you cannot get that from Chewy.
Nope. So All right, but if we're going to add up we need to give him a little more something to go on.
I don't know.
He's hardcore, boy.
All the answers I've seen.
Well, let's remind them what it, because there's going to be a lot of new listeners right now.
So in 1944,
Okay.
they were flying sorties to Berlin. There's a one critter that flew 5 sorties in a airplane, a fighter plane.
It's a P-47, by the way. I just thought I'd throw it in. I double checked to make sure.
Yep.
Okay.
So we're looking for the name of the dog, the type of dog, and
The owner,
the owner,
the handler.
and if you want, the name of the plane. But that'd be another bonus that we can deal on that later. But that critter right there flew 5 sorties,
5 sorties. This is,
shooting down Messerschmitts
yep,
over Berlin.
over Berlin, and was
There's
awarded a medal for his bravery and everything else. So you got a canine pilot, navigator. He wasn't a pilot. He didn't fly the plane, but he assisted in the shooting down of Messerschmitts and bombing and stuff.
5 kills.
5 kills. So
So there was a few that answered, responded to Butch, but those were not the right.
no, yeah. If you
But this was 1944, not 1942, not 1945, not 1943. Because some of you, and then there are other dogs that flew. Some were on freighters, bombers. There was one that was in a P-51 Mustang, and that wasn't the right answer I was looking for. Because that was in 1943, I think.
yeah, that was before
If
that.
I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But that's what I was thinking when I read up on it. So,
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, that's the question. We got a good one going here. So,
What do you think, champ? You got an answer? Nope. Rip, you got an answer? We got Rip sitting here between us here. Can you get Rip in? He's backing out. There you go. Give him a head shake, Rip. That's our boy. That's our big boy. So, you good for the night?
Yeah.
Well, Champ's ready to go to get some rest. We're going to call it a night. You folks answer this question. You get something special. What do you think, Scott?
I think that we had some good information tonight, and to all you out there, remember, it's all about the dogs. Let's keep it that way.
Next week, folks.
Good night.